Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, a book that has definitely sparked a lot of conversations about money and how we think about success.
Definitely. And speaking of journeys, if you're looking for an extra boost of motivation, when it comes to your financial journey, head over to affirmifyjourney.com
Oh,
for some personalized zodiac affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
They're a great way to, start your day with a positive mindset. Now, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This book really challenges those traditional ideas we have about money and success.
Right.
That whole get good grades, get a safe job, and you'll be fine sort of thinking.
Yeah, Kiyosaki really argues that things have changed. Like a good education, it's still important,
Of course, yeah.
but it's not the guaranteed ticket to success that it maybe used to be.
Yeah.
He points out that a lot of college grads now are earning less than previous generations.
Right.
And that traditional job security is a lot less common.
Yeah, so what's the alternative? What does he propose?
Well, he really emphasizes financial literacy.
Right.
Understanding how money works
Yeah.
is crucial regardless of your education or career path.
And this is where his personal story comes in, right? He grew up with two father figures with very different perspectives on money.
Exactly. He had his biological dad, his poor dad, who was a highly educated school teacher, but struggled financially. And then he had his friend's dad, his rich dad, who was a very successful entrepreneur, despite dropping out of school.
That's a fascinating contrast.
Yeah.
So what were some of the key lessons that he learned from his rich dad?
One of the most important, I would say, is the difference between assets and liabilities.
Okay.
Rich dad taught him that an asset puts money in your pocket, while a liability takes money out.
Yeah.
And it sounds simple,
Yeah.
but he argues that so many people mix these two up.
Like how? Give me an example.
Houses. Houses are the classic example. People often see their house as their biggest asset,
Right.
but Kiyosaki argues that it can actually be a liability, especially if you have a big mortgage.
Yeah, because you're constantly putting money into it.
Yeah.
Mortgage payments, taxes, repairs.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily generating any income from it.
Exactly. Now, this doesn't mean you shouldn't own a house,
Right.
but it's about understanding the financial implications and not mistaking a liability for an asset.
So if Rich Dad wasn't focused on acquiring liabilities, what was his approach to building wealth?
Building a system where your money works for you. He encouraged Kiyosaki to think like an entrepreneur,
Okay.
to create businesses and investments that generate passive income.
This reminds me of his famous quote, "The rich don't work for money, they have money work for them."
Exactly. And he illustrates this through a lot of real-life examples,
Right.
like Ray Kroc's strategy with McDonald's. Kroc's genius wasn't just in selling burgers, it was in owning the land under the franchises,
Right.
which gave him control over this incredibly valuable asset and generated huge streams of passive income.
Yeah, it's amazing how like a seemingly simple shift in perspective can lead to such different outcomes.
It's a mindset shift.
Or-
It's about, instead of working for money, you focus on building assets that generate income for you, even while you're sleeping.
Okay. So we need to shift our focus from liabilities to assets. How do we actually start building those assets? What are some practical steps that we can take?
Well, he outlines several steps in the book, and one of the most important is to mind your own business. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean quit your job and start a company.
Oh, thank goodness.
It's about having an entrepreneurial mindset,
Yep.
even within your current job, looking for opportunities to create additional streams of income, to build assets that will work for you in the long run.
It's like a side hustle.
Yeah.
Investing in real estate. Maybe even starting a small business on the side.
Exactly. It's about being proactive
Yeah.
and taking control of your financial future. He emphasizes that you don't have to be rich
Right.
to start building wealth. You just need to start thinking differently about money.
And this is where his criticism of the traditional education system comes in, right?
Right. Yeah. He believes that schools often fail to prepare students for the financial realities they'll face. He argues that financial literacy should be a core part of education, starting at a young age.
Yeah, because it's not just about knowing how to earn money. It's knowing how to manage it, invest it, and make it work for you.
Exactly. And he has this really striking comparison. He says traditional education is like trying to build the Empire State Building
Wow.
on a 6-inch slab of concrete.
That's a powerful image. It really highlights that lack of a solid foundation that a lot of people have.
Yeah, and that can lead to financial struggles. missed opportunities.
Yeah.
He believes that by teaching financial literacy early on,
Yeah.
we can really empower people to take control of their finances and create a more secure future for themselves.
So what are some early lessons that Kiyosaki learned from Rich Dad that really illustrate this concept of financial literacy?
Well, one memorable anecdote involves him working for free at his rich dad's convenience store.
Okay.
At first, he was frustrated, felt exploited.
Yeah, I bet.
But Rich Dad explained that he was learning valuable lessons about business and financial independence that he wouldn't get in a classroom.
Sounds like Rich Dad was a master of teaching through experience.
Absolutely. He also used another interesting tactic to teach him about delayed gratification. He offered him increasing amounts of money to work for him. But Kiyosaki initially refused, learning the lesson of not being controlled by this immediate desire for money.
Which is a really powerful lesson for all of us, really. It's about thinking long-term, not letting those short-term desires derail our financial goals.
Exactly. And that's a key takeaway from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about developing a sustainable approach to building wealth and financial freedom.
That sounds like a great place to take a break. Let's pick this up next time and explore more of these valuable insights.
Sounds good. Welcome back, everyone. Let's continue exploring these key takeaways from Rich Dad, Poor Dad and how they can help you transform your financial life.
I'm ready to dive back in. One thing that really struck me from the first part of our deep dive was Kiyosaki's emphasis on overcoming these roadblocks. Fear, cynicism, and laziness when it comes to building wealth.
Yeah, those are definitely some of the biggest obstacles that people face. Fear, for example, can paralyze us from taking action, even when it's a calculated risk.
Especially when it comes to investing, there's always that fear of losing money.
Right. But Rich Dad argues that even doing nothing is risky. Playing it too safe can lead to missed opportunities and financial stagnation, especially with inflation, constantly eroding the value of our money. He challenges us to ask what's riskier, staying stuck or taking a calculated leap.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance between being cautious but also being bold, right? Educating yourself so you can make informed decisions rather than just reacting out of fear.
Exactly. And then cynicism, that inner voice that says, oh, it's all a scam. Or success is only for other people.
Oh, I know that voice all too well.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get bogged down in negativity and self-doubt.
But as Kiyosaki points out, doubt is expensive. Cynicism can blind us to opportunities, prevent us from even trying.
Yeah.
He shares this story about a friend who missed out on a lucrative real estate deal simply because he couldn't shake his doubts.
Oof, that's a painful reminder that sometimes our biggest obstacle is ourselves.
Yeah.
So how do we break free from that cynical mindset?
Kiyosaki encourages us to challenge those negative thoughts.
Okay.
Focus on what's possible. Surround yourself with positive influences, success stories that can inspire and motivate us. Belief precedes action.
So believing in ourselves and believing in the possibility is actually a crucial step. Now, what about laziness? We all struggle with motivation sometimes.
Well, Kiyosaki is pretty blunt about this one.
Okay.
He believes that laziness is a major obstacle to financial success. He challenges us to ask, are you willing to put in the work to achieve your goals? It's about taking ownership of your financial life and being proactive, not just hoping for the best.
Yeah, and he also stresses the importance of mastering these different financial formulas.
Yeah. He uses the analogy of a baker following a recipe. Just as a baker needs to understand the ingredients and the steps to bake bread, you need to understand the recipes for making money work for you.
Okay. So what are some of those key recipes or formulas?
Understanding cash flow is essential.
Okay.
It's about knowing how money moves in and out of your life. Where is your money coming from? Where is it going? Kiyosaki argues that most people focus way too much on income and not enough on managing expenses and creating positive cash flow.
And he also emphasizes understanding those financial statements.
Right.
Like the income statement.
Right.
And balance sheet.
Yeah. Those documents provide a snapshot of your financial health. The income statement shows your income and expenses over a period of time, while the balance sheet shows your assets, liabilities, and net worth at a specific point in time.
I admit those documents can be kind of intimidating.
They can, but Kiyosaki argues they're not as complex as people think. He believes that even kids can grasp these basic principles. Remember his example of kids understanding supply and demand through Tickle Me Elmo dolls.
Oh, yeah, back in the 90s. Yeah.
Kids instinctively knew that those dolls were scarce. So the demand and the price went up.
Yeah, that's a brilliant example. They're seeing those basic principles of economics at play in everyday life.
Exactly. And Kiyosaki believes that anyone can learn these principles,
Okay.
regardless of their background.
Now, I'm curious about his emphasis on working for free. He talks about this quite a bit in the book.
Yeah, and he's not suggesting you should work for free indefinitely. It's about strategically investing your time to learn valuable skills and gain experience,
hmm
even if it doesn't immediately translate to a paycheck.
It's about playing the long game, building your human capital.
Exactly. It's like an apprenticeship. You might not earn much initially,
Yeah.
but you're gaining knowledge and skills that will pay off later.
And he also stresses finding mentors who can guide you along the way.
Absolutely. Mentors can provide invaluable insights, shortcuts that can accelerate your learning curve. They've already made the mistakes, so you can learn from their experience.
Now, Kiyosaki lays out 10 steps to awaken your financial genius. What are some of those steps that really stand out to you?
Well, the first step, find a reason greater than reality. It's all about identifying your why. What is your motivation for wanting to achieve financial freedom? Without a strong reason, it's easy to give up when things get tough.
That reminds me of his point about having superhuman ambition.
Yes.
You need that driving force to push you through those challenges.
That fuel
Yeah.
uses the example of Olympic swimmers waking up at 4 a.m. to train.
Wow.
It's their love for the sport and their commitment to their goals that fuels their dedication.
So passion and purpose are key ingredients in this recipe for success.
Absolutely. Another crucial step is to choose to be rich.
Okay.
And it sounds obvious,
Right.
but he stresses that this is a daily choice. Every day we make decisions about how we spend our time and money. And these decisions over time determine our outcomes.
So it's about aligning our daily actions with our long-term goals.
Right. He also highlights the importance of overcoming arrogance.
Wait, arrogance. How did that fit into the picture?
Kiyosaki believes that arrogance can prevent us from learning and growing. It's that closed-mindedness. I already know everything. He encourages us to be open to new ideas, to constantly seek knowledge.
Yeah, he makes the point that it's not what you know that counts, but how fast you learn,
Exactly.
especially in today's rapidly changing world.
And he uses a personal anecdote to illustrate this. He recalls taking these advanced investing classes with people who had doctorates in physics and space science.
Wow.
He felt totally out of his depth, but he still learned a lot, and it made him a better investor.
It just goes to show there's always something new to learn. And being open to those new experiences can lead to unexpected growth.
Absolutely. Another step that I think often gets people fired up is his advice to pay yourself first.
That sounds counterintuitive. Don't we need to pay our bills first?
Kiyosaki argues that by prioritizing your own savings and investments,
Okay.
you create a sense of urgency to generate more income.
So it's about shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance.
Exactly. He believes that paying yourself first forces you to be more resourceful, more creative in finding ways to earn more money.
It's like lighting a fire into your own behind.
He even admits that he sometimes lets creditors scream a little, not because he's irresponsible, but because that pressure motivates him to find new ways to make money.
That's a bold strategy. Not sure I'm ready to try that one myself,
Mm.
but I can see how that could be effective for some people.
Yeah, it's definitely not for everyone, but it does highlight the importance of prioritizing your financial well-being.
Another step he talks about is get a good broker.
But not just any broker. He emphasizes finding one who is knowledgeable and has your best interests at heart, not just a salesperson focused on commissions.
So it's about building that relationship of trust and mutual respect.
Right. He believes that a good broker can be a valuable asset, providing guidance and helping you navigate the complexities of investing.
And this ties into his advice to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you.
Yeah, he's a firm believer in building a strong team.
Right.
Whether it's financial advisors, mentors, or business partners.
Like having a financial dream team.
Exactly. And he stresses that you should pay your advisors well.
Right.
It's an investment in your own success.
Now, this is where things get really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He introduces this concept that might raise a few eyebrows. Be an Indian giver.
Yeah, I was wondering when we'd get to this one.
Okay, so tell me, what does he mean by that? So tell me, what does he mean by that?
Well, it's all about focusing on getting your initial investment back as quickly as possible. It's
Okay.
about minimizing your risk
Right.
while still aiming for profit.
So you're not necessarily holding on to these investments forever.
Not necessarily. Think of it like this. You invest in something, and once you've recouped your initial investment, anything you make beyond that is pure profit. You get your cake and eat it too.
I like the sound of that.
Hmm.
But how does that actually work in practice? Can you give me like a concrete example?
Sure. He uses the example of purchasing a property in foreclosure.
Okay.
He strategically offers a lower price than other buyers,
Mm.
but with a cashier's check ready to go, demonstrating his ability to close the deal quickly. This makes his offer much more attractive to the bank
Mm-hmm.
because they can avoid this long and uncertain process.
So he's being smart by understanding the bank's motivations and offering them a quick and easy solution.
Exactly. And the same principle can be applied to the stock market.
Okay.
Kiyosaki talks about investing in stocks that are poised for a short-term surge in value,
Okay.
maybe due to a new product launch or positive earnings report. He rides that way for a while,
Mm.
and then when he's made a decent profit, he pulls out his initial investment, leaving the remaining profit to grow.
So you're skimming the cream off the top. This approach really seems to emphasize taking action
Yeah.
and being adaptable to those changing market conditions.
Yes, you got it. It's not about passively waiting for these long-term gains.
Right.
It's about actively seeking out opportunities and capitalizing on them. Now, another really intriguing concept is the power of harnessing desire to fuel financial growth.
Okay, so instead of giving in to those impulse purchases,
Right.
we can actually channel that desire into making smarter financial decisions.
Exactly. He tells a story about a friend whose son desperately wanted a new car. Instead of just handing him the money,
Right.
he challenged his son to learn about the stock market and make the money himself through investing.
Wow, what a brilliant way to turn a potential financial pitfall into a valuable learning opportunity.
Yeah, and the son experienced wins and losses, but ultimately gained invaluable lessons about investing delayed gratification
Mm.
and the power of earning through smart financial decisions. And he ended up getting his new car and boosting his college fund in the process.
Oh, that's a win-win. This really highlights Kiyosaki's belief in teaching financial literacy from a young age.
Absolutely. He sees it as a vital life skill that can empower young people to shape their own financial futures and break free from that traditional work for money mentality.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why financial literacy isn't like a core subject in school.
Right. It's definitely a missed opportunity. Now, another key takeaway from Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the importance of finding heroes,
Okay.
those who inspire us and make success feel attainable.
I remember when I was a kid, my heroes were athletes,
Mm.
like Michael Jordan, Serena Williams. I wanted to be just like them.
And that's the power of heroes. They show us what's possible and light that fire within us to pursue our own goals. So Kiyosaki encourages us to find heroes in the financial world. Successful investors, entrepreneurs, business leaders, people who have achieved that kind of financial success that we aspire to.
It's about surrounding yourself with those positive influences and learning from those who have already walked the path.
Exactly. He believes that by studying the habits and strategies of these successful individuals, we can gain valuable insights and apply them to our own lives. Now, to really bring this home, Kiyosaki shares this brilliant example of using financial intelligence to tackle a common challenge: paying for college. He talks about a friend who was struggling to save enough for all 4 of his children's educations.
Yeah, that's a very relatable struggle for a lot of families.
Yeah.
So how did he overcome this challenge? Did he just work harder and save more?
No, he took a more creative approach. He purchased a house in foreclosure at a great price, rented it out, and used the cash flow to cover the mortgage, while still generating a small profit.
So he created an asset that worked for him and consistently generated income that he could put toward his kid's college fund.
Exactly. And because the house was in a desirable neighborhood, it appreciated in value, building even more wealth for his family. It's a powerful example of how a little financial savvy can create significant results.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad definitely offers a thought-provoking perspective on financial literacy and wealth building. It challenges us to rethink those assumptions we have about money and encourages us to take control of our financial futures.
Absolutely. And whether you agree with all of his ideas or not, I think the book sparks important conversations about money and success and reminds us that financial intelligence isn't just about the numbers. It's about mindset habits and making informed choices.
And if you're eager to expand your knowledge even further, head over to lingopediamagazine.com. They offer a variety of courses and ebooks on various topics, a great resource for anyone looking to keep learning and growing.
And before we wrap up, don't forget to subscribe, share, and like this deep dive. Your support helps others discover this empowering world of financial knowledge.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Until next time, remember, Keep learning, keep growing, and keep taking control of your